Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act, MCL 37.2201, and Michigan's Persons with Disabilities Act, MCL 37.1101. Administrators must ferret out the best qualified person for the job based on evidence. Administrators must consider the timeline to complete a thorough process and bring a candidate to the Board of Education for approval in a timely manner. And school superintendents must never let local politics enter the employment decision. Upon the close of an application process, administrators should maintain an employment criterion and evaluate each applicant's application based on the desired skills, demonstrated proficiencies, and experiences. Based on screening decisions, candidates are notified for interviews. As candidates are notified for interviews, decisions are made regarding who will interview candidates. Research finds that panel interviews are far superior to interviews by a single person. Interview committees may be composed of administrators, teachers, parents, and other staff who may offer insights into the best possible candidates' qualifications. Interview committees are strictly advisory in nature. Step 7 in the employment process is testing potential candidates regarding their proficiency to perform the job duties. In Griggs versus Duke Power Company case, the Supreme Court held that the employment practices by Duke were in direct conflict with provisions of Title VII that prohibited the use of tests and diploma requirements to disqualify a disproportionate number of African Americans. However, you may administer tests demonstrating evidence that the requirements for the job and performance that are related justifies the testing. Under my superintendency, we administered job and performance related tests for each job classification. For instance, at the time of teacher interviews, we required candidates to write a letter to parents explaining the upcoming field trip. Although this letter was not our only deciding variable, our contention was that a candidate who was unable to communicate clearly could not perform their duties adequately. The interview lead, with input from the community, will develop a series of structured interview questions. Questions should be developed in advance of the interview and specific to the position being filled. The same questions should be asked of each and every candidate. When developing interview questions, open-ended questions with legal considerations should be provided. The interview opening should include a welcome to the candidate with a sharing of the job description. In the interview closing, the interview lead should discuss the hiring timeline and allow the candidate to ask questions. In step 9, the post-interview requires each panel member to evaluate each candidate's interview based on a rating form distinguishing the predetermined selection criterion. Upon completion of all interviews, each panelist independently ranks all candidates from best to worst. The interview lead then facilitates an evidence-based discussion of candidates' strengths and weaknesses observed by the panel. The interview lead ensures that all panelists have opportunities to share their observations. The top 3 candidates become finalists for further investigation. Other selection considerations for the top 3 candidates may include candidates to participate in a data analysis task. The data analysis task provides the hiring committee with insights into areas of candidate strength and weakness with respect to analyzing and using data to inform instructional leadership. Candidates may complete a classroom teacher observation task. This task gauges the ability of each finalist to observe instructional practice, assess the quality of instruction, and provide timely, meaningful feedback about quality instruction. Finally, each finalist may be asked to present a lesson. Upon completion of these tasks, the interview lead consults with the panel to select the finalist. After the finalist has been tapped, a background check is conducted. The individual conducting the check may contact sources beyond the candidate's references, and I would encourage that be done. With a positive background check, the interview lead consults with the superintendent to offer the finalist the position, recommend the candidate to the board, and notify other candidates upon the finalist's acceptance. When a candidate signs the limited contract, the candidate becomes an employee. School administrators are well advised to review their school district board policies and administrative practices in accordance with staff employment and should never overlook their superintendent's guidance throughout the process. In conclusion, every school and school district uniquely determine their hiring practices and protocols. However, every school district must comply with federal statutes and U.S. Supreme Court cases.